The scene that nearly ruined Indiana Jones was never meant to be seen. Hidden for decades, it shows Indy doing something so impossible that even Harrison Ford begged Spielberg to cut it. Now, after 40 years, the truth is out. A $250,000 mistake created one of the biggest plot holes in movie history, leaving fans demanding answers about what really happened aboard that Nazi submarine. The idea for Indiana Jones started with George Lucas, who loved 1930s adventure serials. He wanted a hero who was part James Bond, part classic explorer, tough, smart, and resourceful. Surprisingly, one of his biggest inspirations was Uncle Scrooge comic, where the ducks searched for treasure in ancient ruins. Real-life adventurers also influenced Indy, especially Roy Chapman Andrews, a 1920s explorer who searched for fossils in the Gobi Desert. His fedora, pistol, and fearless spirit matched the hero Lucas envisioned. And the name? It came from Lucas's dog, Indiana, the same pup that inspired Chewbacca. Originally, Indy was called Indiana Smith, but Spielberg found it ridiculous. While vacationing in Hawaii, Lucas suggested Jones instead, and Spielberg immediately agreed. Spielberg had always wanted to direct a James Bond movie, but after being rejected twice, Lucas pitched him something better: The Adventures of Indiana Smith. Spielberg loved it, calling it James Bond without the gadgets. They struck a deal with Paramount, with Lucas keeping full control over sequels, while Spielberg promised to keep costs low. To save money, Spielberg shot Raiders in just 73 days, reused Star Wars sets, and kept Indy in the same outfit for most of the film. Early drafts depicted Indy as a rogue archaeologist who kept treasures for himself, but Spielberg worried this made him seem too selfish. They refined the character to be tough, but ultimately do the right thing. Casting was a nightmare. Spielberg's first choice, Tom Selleck, was forced to drop out due to his Magnum PI contract. Lucas was hesitant to cast Harrison Ford, fearing audiences would only see Han Solo, but Spielberg pushed for him. Ford was paid just $1 million, less than half of what Selleck would have made. Ironically, Ford helped save production money in one of the film's most iconic moments. The Cairo sword fight was supposed to be an elaborate duel, but Ford, sick with food poisoning, had no energy. Instead, he simply pulled out his gun and shot the swordsman. Spielberg loved it, keeping the scene and cutting $150,000 from the budget. Paramount was hesitant to fund the $20 million adventure film, calling it a B-movie with A-movie costs. To make the deal happen, Lucas took a percentage of the profits instead of an upfront payment, a gamble that paid off when Raiders became a massive hit. After the costly flop of 1941, Spielberg was determined to stay on budget for Raiders of the Lost Ark. He storyboarded every scene and shot fast, completing the film in just 73 days. The gamble paid off. Raiders became the biggest hit of 1981, earning $389 million worldwide. Lucas and Spielberg each made over $50 million, while Paramount's share dropped to just 12%. The film proved that adventure movies didn't need massive budget. Spielberg later joked, "We made a $40 million movie for half the price, and nobody noticed." But one scene left fans baffled. Indy survives a trip on a Nazi submarine by clinging to its periscope for 72 hours. The problem? Submarines dive, taking their periscopes underwater. Scientists even calculated that Indy would need superhuman grip strength to hold on at full speed. Spielberg admitted it made no sense, but he was rushing to finish the film. Fans theorized the sub never actually submerged, which turned out to be true. Deleted footage showed Indy tying himself to the periscope with his whip. A logical explanation, as pre-W-20 submarines often traveled on the surface to save fuel. The 1981 Raiders comic even included this detail, but test audiences laughed at how ridiculous the scene looked, so Spielberg cut it, saving $250,000 but creating a massive plot hole. In 2012, a grainy VHS copy of the deleted footage leaked online, racking up 2.8 million views. Paramount capitalized on the hype, releasing storyboards in a Raiders Blu-ray. The joke even made it into Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, where a young Indy quips, "Don't ask about the submarine." Despite its impossibility, fans loved the scene. Harrison Ford defended it, saying, "The audience wants to believe he's indestructible. Why ruin it with math?" But Raiders wasn't the only film with a controversial scene. Temple of Doom, 1984, shocked audiences with Mola Ram's heart-ripping ritual. Using clever effects, rubber chest pieces and reversed footage, the scene was so disturbing that some TV edits removed the heart altogether. The backlash helped create the PG-13 rating, as parents felt the film was too intense for kids, but not extreme enough for an R rating. The film also tackled darker themes like child labor. A pivotal subplot showed kidnapped children forced to work in underground mines, searching for mystical stones. While meant as fantasy, some felt it too closely resembled real historical events. The Indian government even banned the film, calling its depiction of their culture inaccurate and exaggerated. Another controversial moment was the infamous dinner scene at Pankot Palace, where Indy and his friends are served monkey brain, live snakes, and bizarre dishes. These had no real connection to Indian cuisine, yet the scene reinforced an exoticized, misleading portrayal. Spielberg later admitted these ideas came from myths rather than reality. Hindu groups were also upset by the film's portrayal of Kali, traditionally seen as a protector, but depicted here as the focus of a violent cult. Even Amrish Puri, who played Mola Ram, was hesitant to take the role. The controversy forced the filmmakers to abandon filming in India, relocating to Sri Lanka instead. Decades later, Temple of Doom remains divisive. Spielberg later admitted it was his least favorite Indiana Jones film, blaming its darker tone on personal struggles, including his divorce. He acknowledged regrettable racial stereotypes, but defended the film's intensity, arguing that adventure stories need powerful villains. Through it all, Indiana Jones remained a legend, impossibly surviving submarines, deadly rituals, and the test of time. Originally, Raiders of the Lost Ark had a huge action-packed fight planned between Indy and a master swordsman. The scene, with Indy using his whip and market objects to defend himself, was going to be a 10-minute duel, but filming in Tunisia proved brutal. Harrison Ford got sick with dysentery, and by the time the fight was supposed to be filmed, he could barely stand. Ford jokingly suggested, "Why don't we just shoot the guy?" That simple line led to one of cinema's most iconic moments. They filmed two versions, one with the full fight and one where Indy just shoots the swordsman. Spielberg realized the gunshot fit Indy's character better, smart, practical, and focused on survival. It saved $250,000 and 3 days of filming. Despite the heat and sickness that plagued nearly 80% of the cast and crew, the film wrapped up. Behind-the-scenes footage of the fight still exists, showing Indy swinging from market stalls and the swordsman performing flips. Fans have been obsessed with the deleted scene, with the 2012 Blu-ray release of the rehearsal footage going viral. In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 2008, Indy surviving a nuclear blast in a fridge sparked backlash, creating the meme, "nuking the fridge." Spielberg later regretted it, while Lucas insisted it was scientifically possible. Physicists disagreed. A deleted Raiders scene explained how Indy knew to close his eyes when the Ark opened, but it was cut for pacing. Another, featuring a comedic moment with Salah, was removed for tone. The film's iconic melting faces used 17,000 watts of light and 12 tons of clay, costing $1.2 million. Raiders reshaped Hollywood, cementing Indy as an imperfect but unforgettable hero. Harrison Ford became a superstar, while Karen Allen's Marion Ravenwood set the standard for strong action heroine. When Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny brought Marion back, it proved how much fans still loved her. Other Indiana Jones actors also found success. John Rhys Davies starred in The Lord of the Rings. Paul Freeman became known for playing charming villains, and Alfred Molina went on to play Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2. Even Ke Huy Quan, who played Short Round, made a huge comeback, winning an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Beyond Hollywood, Indiana Jones changed how people saw history. After Raiders, archaeology programs saw a spike in students. While real archaeologists don't dodge traps, many credited Indy for making their field exciting. His look, fedora, leather jacket, whip, became iconic, inspiring The Mummy, Uncharted, and Tomb Raider. The films redefined action movies. The fast-paced storytelling, real-world locations, and practical effects, like the boulder chase and minecart scene, set new standards. John Williams's theme became legendary, and Spielberg's direction influenced filmmakers like J.J. Abrams. Of course, not everything was perfect. Temple of Doom faced backlash for stereotypes, and Crystal Skull disappointed fans with its alien plot. But love them or not, the movies remained unforgettable. Even today, Indy lives on. New games, theme park rides, and the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game keep the legacy alive. The term Indiana Jones Affair describes how pop culture can make history exciting. In 2023, Dial of Destiny became the final chapter, with an 80-year-old Harrison Ford returning for one last adventure. The film explored aging, legacy, and what happens when a hero's time comes to an end. But Indy's journey was never just about treasure. It was about courage, curiosity, and never giving up. As he once said, "It's not the years, honey, it's the mileage." And no matter how much time passes, the adventure never truly ends.